Name is Ramesh Kalimuthu, and I'm a technical marketing engineer at Cisco, focused on virtualization technologies. This is the Cisco SD branch video series where we showcase features, technology, and solutions available. Today, I will introduce the Catalyst 8200 uCPE platform, in short, C8200 uCPE, and discuss how to deploy Catalyst 8000V, in short C8KV, on this platform in autonomous mode using the local UI. So in my next video, I will talk about deploying and managing uCPE in controller mode using vManage. In this video, first we will cover the platform itself and just introduce NFVIS, the Cisco Network Hypervisor capability, and showcase the procedure to deploy a C8KV, connect to the router as well, and show a few steps of how to use it. All right, Cisco provides the most comprehensive and complete NFV solution for branches. So these products are categorized into four component layers: hardware, hypervisor, collection of VNFs, the virtual network functions, from Cisco or third party, and an orchestrator for stitching them all together for the automation of the deployment. There are choices of platforms for small, medium, or large size deployments, depending on the bandwidth targets and the number of VNFs that you want to use. The Cisco Catalyst 8200 UCP platform is a purpose-built platform for virtualization of 2 to 3 network services in small or lean type of branch site. This platform replaces the ENCS 5100 series platform. It has 8 cores, go up to 64 GB of memory, and QAT for accelerating encryption function in the C8KV virtual router. It has 6 1 gig Ethernet ports on board. 2 of them are SFP capable. It includes a pluggable interface module form factor for LTE, and it's also ready for 5G in the future. An M2 storage up to 2 terabytes of capacity with a small form factor pluggable drive that can go up to 4 terabytes. And now, unlike many other uCPE in the market, this platform has a NIM slot that allows for non-Ethernet type of connectivity options, like again LTE or DSL, T1E1, or additional Ethernet switch ports. It is powered by NFVIS as the host OS that provides the hypervisor abstraction to host the virtual network services. Now, on to the C8KV. It's a virtual router. It's a unified image that can be used in autonomous or controller mode for SD-WAN. It's infrastructure agnostic. It's a service rich based on iOS XE software code base with proven feature sets. And in the uCPE context, NIM support and use of QAT for encryption. Now, while NFVIS has the hooks for deployment automation, the VNF packages are expected to follow a specific format for achieving the deployment automation. So here is an example of a C8KV package for an FVIS hypervisor that can be downloaded from the Cisco software download site. This package contains QCAR2 format disk image, a set of bootstrap configuration files, metadata, and manifest files for integrity verification. Now, here is a simple networking scenario that can be done within NFVIS. Multiple networks can be created inside NFVIS device, some of them with physical ports that connect to LAN, WAN, or adjacent devices. Or there are other networks that are internal to the device used for connecting or service chaining the V. Now, particularly for C8KV on 8200 uCPE, the networks can be OVS, OVS DPDK, or SRIOV. Here is an example topology of how C8KV could be deployed, connecting LAN to WAN. The WAN side as an example with SRIOV connection, LAN side with OVS, allowing for flexibility in service chaining with other VNFs in the future. In addition to the user traffic, there are management and monitoring interfaces available in C8. It's important to understand the interface mappings of the VNF. The VNIC ID assigned by NFVIS is translated into interface number inside the C8KV or any other VNF deployed. It's important to understand the VNIC 0 maps to interface gig 1 as an example and onwards. It's a best practice to create a management network and manage the uCPE NFEIS as well as the VNFs deployed in a site, potentially other devices on the LAN as well. In our example, VNIC 3 maps to interface gig 4 and it's used for the management network interface. All right, on to the deployment. So first step is to log in. What you see here is the local user interface. Go ahead and log in as admin. As you can see here, it's a C8200 uCPE platform and it's running NFEIS 451. This is a new GUI, updated GUI in NFEIS 451. So you have the configuration, monitoring and operations sections kind of grouped together for easy navigation. So our goal is to deploy the C8000V. So first step would be to make sure that the image is available in the NFEIS system. We can download the image from the Cisco software download site. So routers, C8KV and the 1751 image. Anything tar GZ here is meant for NFEIS. So you can download, let's say, 16 gig serial tar GZ image. You can go download it here, and then you can come to the configuration section, virtual machines, and images. This is the image repository. You can go ahead and upload it in here. In the interest of time, I've already uploaded, so it's available in here. 1751 C8KV image. The NFEIS first, in the process of registering the image, it unpacks the image. It's a tar GZ, does integrity verification, and creates the flavors for easier deployment. So we'll see that in the deployment phase. We want to ensure that all networks are available, created and ready for deployment. Let's go and check what is available. So by default, we have the WAN interfaces and the LAN interfaces available, the WAN net and LAN net. Our desire is to also deploy management net. So we have to go create the management network. So you go back to configuration, virtual machine, and then networking and networks. Let's go create a network. So we can go ahead and add a network. We can do mgmt-net as an example. Could keep it trunk, allow all VLANs, create a new bridge called management bridge as an example, and we want to associate it to gig 05 and submit. The management net is created. So this is the deployment canvas, if you will. So you can go select the image you want to deploy. Let's say it's a router that we want to deploy. Just give it a name, let's say router. And you can select from a list of images available. C8KV is the image. There is only one image available. We'll go ahead and use it. You can choose the flavor. The small flavor is basically a 2 CPU flavor. So you can use that. Autonomous mode is basically non-vManage versus vManage. Non-vManage is autonomous mode. You can choose based on the features you want to configure, you can choose the different license levels. Let's say Advantage is something that we can use because we may want to configure encryption as an example. This is, you could enable or disable this NIM slot as long as you, in this example, we do not have a NIM slot, so we'll NIM use, so we'll disable it. Crypto offload is enabled. It's basically the system has QAT, so you can enable crypto offload. And you can also configure default username password for the router. You can do port forwarding. The idea is to log into the service via the hypervisor. So you can provide all the info over there, and deployment disk, it's internal as opposed to other external drives can be used. All right, there are a few more options. We can scroll down and view that. There is a source bridge option. There are multiple ways to access the NFEIS system or do the port forwarding as well. Here we have chosen the this 172.19.160.91 as the address, which is accessible via the WAN bridge. So we want to choose this for port forwarding essentially. So that's one of the things we do. And before we hit deploy, we want to make the connections. So let's say we wanted to make the WAN connection. It happened to be SRIOV. So SRIOV, there are multiple VFs. So you choose, let's say, one as an example. And this is the gigabit Ethernet 2 interface. That's what it maps to within the router. Now we made one WAN connection and we want to make one LAN connection. And we also intended to have a management connection as well. So we just make that management connection. And that's pretty much it. So we can just quickly review what we chose, especially this WAN bridge for port forwarding, and pretty much go deploy. It'll take a few seconds to complete the deployment. You can view the status of the deployment via this configuration manage page. So you can see the router is getting deployed at this point. As soon as the router is deployed, you can also console in and see the status of the deployment. So you can just click this and it's opening the console. If the pop-up is blocked, you may want to allow it. So in this case, it's allowed. So it's just, you can see that the router that is deployed is booting up. And you can, because we deployed port forwarding, we can also try to access the system via port forwarding. So let's open terminal. Let's say, so we 2001 was the port that we gave, and our intention was to access the router via the NFVIS address. So 172.19.160.91. This is the address that is accessible, that takes us to NFVIS via the WAN bridge. And our intent is to access the router. So via this port 2001. 2001 gets mapped to 22, and then we hopefully will be able to SSH into the router. It takes a few seconds for the router to boot up. So let's just give it that time. All right, the router is booted up now, so it's accessible via the port forwarding path as well. So we could just try to log into the router as well. So this is the router essentially. So this is the, via the form input that we provided, some values, those are basically taken up. The first interface is used for internal monitoring. The second one is the WAN interface. The third is the LAN facing interface. The fourth is the management interface. So now that we have the access, you could go ahead and do the rest of the configuration. We always have the option of attaching a fully configured bootstrap information. So that is, in this example, we didn't use that. That's always an option if you want to automate it even further, the deployment process. In the NFVIS, we went through the configuration section, but there are other monitoring screens where you can monitor, let's say, the CPU utilization of the system, CPU cores that are available. You can specifically look at the utilization of particular core by pointing to it. Or if you want to also look at the port statistics, you can do that, including the virtual machine related monitoring information also can be seen. This router was deployed with 2 vCPUs. You can see how the router is performing from a CPU perspective, from a virtual NIC perspective, network packet statistics as well. Basically, it's single pane of glass for operating the system, right from configuring deployment configuration to monitoring to other operations. NFEIS is a piece of software. There are rebuilds coming up every 4 months. You may have some features or vulnerability patches you require, so you can go ahead and do the upgrade from this local UI. So in summary, we have this local UI available for creating the service chain and deploying and managing the system. Stay tuned for other videos in this channel for some useful information. I hope you found this demo informative. If you'd like to learn more about Catalyst 8200 uCPE, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. As always, thank you for watching.